This month, August of 2019, officially marks 7.5 years since I began my own journey to better myself. It started off purely for vanity reasons. I wanted to look better so that I felt better. I didn't have a magic number that I was trying to achieve on the scale. I didn't even own a scale, and I didn't have any pant size I was trying to get into. I just knew that I didn't like what I saw in the mirror, and I didn't like how that made me feel. So once I got started with home workouts, which was the only thing that fit where I was in time as a mom of 3 young children who lacked any confidence, I was literally operating at like the negative amount of self-esteem. And why I'm sharing this is because I have come so far in the last 7.5 years, and I found that when something becomes your normal, it just becomes commonplace and you don't talk about it. And I have made so many significant changes in my life that I wouldn't have gotten to where I'm at in those areas if I hadn't have celebrated the little successes. And I know that I share a lot on social media, and I've picked up so many new friends and followers over the last 7.5 years. And a lot of times people look at who I am now and have no idea how far I've come. And I feel that it's super important for me to share that, because one of my objectives of sharing so much about my own personal journey, health, fitness, sobriety, motherhood, relationship-wise, is to give other people hope that if they're struggling in any area of life, that there is always an answer. There's always a solution. And maybe you can't figure it out on your own, but that's where support or having somebody else there to show you what is possible will give you that, opening of your mind so you can change where you're at. So somebody asked me yesterday what my life was like, and because they share so much about mental health, about my anxiety. And a lot of people don't know this, because I'll tell you, the Mindy, even 6.5 years ago, would have never dreamt of making a video or sharing some really vulnerable parts of her life. But that has happened. I've evolved. And what's funny is it all started with fitness, of just being able to complete a workout from home. And it wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect, but just doing that every day boosted my confidence. And once I started to feel confident about that, it made me start realizing that I could step out in other areas. But let's backtrack to when I was looking to make the change, when I was needing that change because I was tired, I was depressed, I was lonely, I was sick all the time, I was in pain all the time, and I just felt like I was just going through the motions, spinning plates to keep my life going, and there really wasn't any purpose other than being a wife and a mom. There's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, we as people are so much more than being a mom or a dad or a husband or a wife or an employee. We need to have purpose. We need to have something that's driving us to get out of bed every day, to keep going until you, feel like you have some passion or some purpose. And so when I was that person, to be honest, when I started my health and fitness journey, I didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew that I was uncomfortable in the skin I was in. Nobody knew that I looked in the mirror and hated myself. I had these walls up. I was a very angry person. I was loud. People would have never known what was really going on inside. And I did that on purpose. I kept these walls up so nobody knew, because I didn't want to be vulnerable, because being vulnerable meant being weak. But at the same time, not talking to anybody made me feel like I was alone, like I was the only one in the world who felt that way. And that's the problem, is we all do that. We keep it to ourselves because we're afraid of being judged or rejected. And really, our problems aren't really that special. Everybody else has them. We all fear rejection. We all fear that we're not worthy, or that we won't be loved, or the love that we have will be taken away. And so who I was then is not who I am now. But I really suffered from major anxiety. I had social anxiety, I had general anxiety, and what I've shared about my health and fitness journey is that this, mental health thing has been something that has started from childhood and has only progressively gotten worse as I've gotten older. And I have, since I started my journey 7.5 years ago, received several diagnoses that, are mental health related, but I don't let them, I identify to those things, but I don't let it become who I am. It's something I talk about because I want people to know that if they are struggling with bipolar disorder or borderline personality disorder or general anxiety disorder or depression like I am, that doesn't have to dictate your whole entire life, and that doesn't mean that your future can't be good. But for me, anxiety pretty much dictated every part of my life, and fear of being judged, fear of being rejected, fear of losing everything that I ever had really just made the anxiety intensify. And it's something that I still have to deal with every day. But part of my healthy lifestyle does help me keep those things down. But what somebody was asking about was how I've been able to do what I do, being a public figure, being, in the public eye, and helping other people, how I've been able to manage my mental health, my social anxiety while doing this. And I don't talk about what I do or how far I've come enough. And so this is kind of like a step in the right direction of sharing more about me, and I'll be sharing more in the future. But for me, social anxiety ruled everything. And that is really what fueled my addictions. And I didn't really recognize that until I decided to get sober. October of this year will be 4 years. But for me, I will say that I kind of did things a little bit backwards. A lot of people get sober, and then once they get sober, they decide to pursue doing more for their health and their wellness and their mindset. For me, it was the opposite. If it wasn't for health and fitness, if it wasn't for the support that I had in the community, I wouldn't have ever been aware or taken the time to further my growth and my recovery. But for me, social anxiety has been something that I, again, still struggle with. And I feel like even more so since I got sober almost 4 years ago, because the alcohol masked that anxiety. I would drink before I went to events. I would drink while I was at events, so I didn't know that. But what I didn't realize is that coaching was really a good thing for me, because it allows me to pick and choose my work schedule. It allows me to pick and choose who I'm working with, and it allows me to pick and choose whom I communicate and when I communicate. And so I don't know about you. I do know lots of people who have anxiety. I see posts on social media about how they're stressing out about going to work, about having to go in public, having to go do presentations. And for me, coaching has really helped because I'm in control. I get to choose which clients I work with. I get to choose who I'm inviting into my team. I get to choose when I go places, where I go, who I go with. And so for me, to have that power is great. It makes me feel like I'm in control of some part of my life. And usually that's where anxiety comes, starts to run rampant is when people feel like they have zero control over their life and over their circumstances. So I share this because I think a lot of people look at what I do and think, oh, I could never do that because of anxiety. I don't like people. I have social anxiety. I have this and I have that. And here's the thing is, to be successful in this business, all you have to do is own who you are, and you will attract the people that accept you. You will be connected with other people just like you, where you don't feel alone, where you can build that tribe. And so I'll share more in the days to come, but I just wanted to let you know that if you're struggling with those things and using my story of where I'm at now to compare yourself of where you are and feeling stuck, you don't have to be stuck. You can work with your lifestyle now and only improve it. There is no cookie cutter coach. We have the ability to help you wherever you're at and love you wherever you're at and help you get to where you want to be.